Snow drifted sideways across the cracked bus shelter, sticking to the plastic bench and the faded route map peeling at the corners. The city moved past in a blur of headlights and hurried footsteps, but the shelter felt like a pocket of stillness carved out of the night. The billionaire stood there in a charcoal coat tailored to perfection, the fabric heavy and warm, his polished shoes untouched by slush. A briefcase rested by his side, silent evidence of a life measured in meetings and margins. He had left the office late again, not because work demanded it, but because the penthouse waited for him with a quiet that rang too loudly on Christmas Eve. Across the street, shop windows glowed with ornaments and fake snow, reflections of families leaning close, laughter caught mid-motion like something he was always watching from behind glass. He checked his watch, then slid it back beneath his sleeve as if time itself felt unnecessary. A small voice broke through the hush. "Mom said Santa forgot us again." The man turned, startled not by the words but by the calm way they were spoken. A boy stood near the far end of the shelter, no older than 8, bundled in a jacket clearly meant for a younger child. The sleeves stopped short of his wrists, leaving skin reddened by the cold. His sneakers were damp at the toes, and he held a crumpled paper bag against his chest as if it were something precious. Beside him sat a woman, shoulders stiff, eyes ringed with exhaustion she tried to mask behind a polite smile. The billionaire hesitated, then found himself answering anyway. "Santa gets busy," he said, the words sounding thin even to his own ears. The boy studied him carefully, dark eyes serious beyond their years. "I think he knows where the big houses are," the boy said after a moment. "We move a lot." He paused, then added quietly, "It's okay. Mom says forgetting is easier than being mean." Something tightened in the man's chest. He crouched down so they were eye level, the cold seeping through his trousers, grounding him. "What's in the bag?" he asked. "Bread from yesterday," the boy replied without embarrassment. "For later. We're waiting for the night bus. It's warmer than the shelter." The woman shifted, clearly uncomfortable. "He talks too much," she said softly, apologizing without asking forgiveness. "No," the man said quickly. "He tells the truth." The word surprised him with how much he meant them. A sharp gust of wind rattled the shelter, carrying the smell of snow and exhaust. The boy shivered, trying to hide it. Without thinking, the billionaire slipped off his leather gloves and pressed them into the child's hands. They were far too big, the fingers folding over themselves, but the warmth was instant. The boy's face lit up, wonder washing away the cold. "Santa gloves," he whispered, awe threading his voice. The man swallowed hard. He hadn't been Santa to anyone in a long time, not since his wife died, not since Christmas mornings became reminders instead of celebrations. The headlights of the bus appeared in the distance, growing brighter, closer. Impulsively, the man stepped forward and waved it on. "I'll catch the next one," he said, more to himself than anyone else. As the bus rolled past, the shelter filled again with quiet, but it was a different kind now, one that felt like the beginning of something, not the end. The diner door chimed as they stepped inside, a thin bell announcing them to a room wrapped in warmth and the smell of frying oil and fresh coffee. Heat rushed over them, fogging the billionaire's glasses for a second, while the boy stopped just inside the doorway, eyes wide, as if afraid the place might vanish if he blinked. Red vinyl booths lined the walls, cracked but clean, and a string of faded tinsel drooped above the counter, clinging stubbornly to the spirit of Christmas. "Just coffee," the woman said quickly, her hand tightening around her purse strap before the waitress could speak. "We don't want to." "Dinner," the man said gently, already sliding into a booth. His voice wasn't commanding like it was in boardrooms, it was calm, certain, leaving no room for embarrassment. "It's cold outside. Everyone eats better when it's warm." The boy climbed into the seat across from him, the borrowed gloves resting carefully on the table like something sacred. He leaned forward, whispering, "Mom, they have pie." His mother smiled, tired but real this time. "We'll see." The menus arrived, though the boy barely glanced at his before setting it down neatly, as if he didn't want to ask for too much. The billionaire ordered without show: soup, grilled sandwiches, fries, hot chocolate. Nothing fancy, just food that filled and comforted. When the waitress walked away, the boy watched her like she carried magic. "I'm Eli," the boy said suddenly. "That's my mom." The man nodded. He stopped himself, then smiled. "Just someone waiting for a bus too." When the food came, steam curled into the air like relief made visible. Eli counted the fries automatically, then pushed half toward his mother before taking any himself. She pretended not to notice, focusing instead on unwrapping her sandwich with deliberate care. The billionaire noticed everything and said nothing, understanding the dignity in silence. Between bites, conversation unfolded slowly. Eli talked about school days missed because buses didn't always come, about how his mom told stories at night instead of turning on lights to save power. The man listened, really listened, the kind of attention he realized no one ever demanded from him, only expected. "You don't have kids?" Eli asked, chocolate smudging his lip. The man paused. "I did," he said softly, meaning something different than the boy would hear. "I still do, in a way." Outside, snow continued to fall, but inside the diner time seemed to loosen its grip. When the check arrived, the woman reached for it immediately, panic flickering across her face. "I can't." "It's Christmas," he said, placing his card down with a steadiness that felt like a promise. "Let it be one easy thing." She nodded once, eyes shining but dry. Outside again, the wind felt less cruel. The man waved down a car instead of watching for the bus, then another when he realized they needed more room. He gave the driver an address not to charity or shelters, but to a modest hotel glowing softly down the street. Eli pressed his forehead to the window as they drove. "Mom," he whispered, "maybe Santa didn't forget." The billionaire looked out at the falling snow and, for the first time in years, felt the night answer back. Morning arrived quietly, as if the city itself were careful not to wake anyone too fast. Pale winter light slipped through the hotel curtains, turning the dust in the air into tiny floating stars. Eli woke first, the habit of listening before moving already stitched into him. For a moment he didn't understand where he was. The bed was too soft, the room too warm, the silence unfamiliar. Then he saw the gloves resting neatly on the nightstand and remembered everything. He sat up slowly, feet sinking into thick carpet instead of touching cold concrete. Across the room, his mother slept deeply, one arm flung over her eyes, her face finally free of the tight lines worry had carved into it. Eli slid out of bed without waking her and padded toward the door, drawn by a glow slipping in from the hallway. Downstairs, the lobby felt like another world. A Christmas tree stood near the front desk, tall and patient, its lights glowing soft gold, not flashy, just steady. Eli approached it the way he might approach something holy. Beneath the branches sat a small box wrapped in plain brown paper, his name written on top in careful, unfamiliar handwriting. His hands trembled as he opened it. Inside were thick winter boots that fit perfectly, a knitted scarf that smelled faintly of clean laundry, and a small book with blank pages. Tucked between them was a folded note. Eli sounded out the words slowly, lips moving as he read. "Santa doesn't forget. Sometimes he arrives early, sometimes late, but he always arrives." Eli pressed the note to his chest, swallowing hard. He didn't cry. He just stood there, breathing, as if afraid the feeling might escape if he let it go. Upstairs, his mother woke to a knock at the door and the offer of breakfast. When she joined him in the lobby and saw the box, her knees nearly gave way. She knelt beside him, holding him close, her breath shaking as she whispered thank you after thank you, though she didn't know exactly who she was thanking. Across the city, in a high-rise apartment that echoed with quiet, the billionaire stood at his window, coffee cooling untouched in his hand. Snow fell more gently now, like the storm had spent itself. His phone buzzed with a single message from the hotel manager, "They're smiling." He closed his eyes, feeling something he hadn't let himself feel in years. Not pride. Not charity. Something simpler. Something warmer. For the first time since loss had hollowed out his holidays, Christmas didn't feel like a reminder of what was gone. It felt like proof of what could still be given, and received. Outside, the city kept moving. Inside, in a small hotel lobby and a lonely penthouse high above it, Christmas finally arrived.